know everybody's been wondering. We've been talking about it for about 7 months now, about one strike or another. So we're finally through with everything.
with all of
Kind
them.
of. Um, well, SAG-AFTRA did reach a tentative agreement at the beginning of
Tentative.
this week. And the SAG-AFTRA National Board approved its new contract with the major studios with an 86% approval rating, now sending it to membership for ratification. The official approval was announced by the Guild at a press conference Friday afternoon, which finally got started at around like 3:20 p.m. After a 80-minute delay, though, everybody was like, "What's going on?" But SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher, National Executive Director Duncan Crabtree Ireland, and members of the union's contract negotiating committee were present at the union headquarters to announce the terms. Now, the full details of the contract will be distributed on Monday. An 80-page summary of the full agreement, which has not been made public yet, will go to the eligible members of the Guild November 13th. Now, ratification voting on the agreement starts November 14th, just around the corner, and will include member meetings to go over the terms of the deal.
Yep.
Now, the ratification vote will conclude on December 5th. The union membership has to approve the contract by a majority vote. Everybody has to keep that in mind. Now, the tentative agreement reached on Wednesday put an end to the union's 118-day strike,
Yep.
the longest actor strike in Hollywood history. Now, the actors were allowed to return back to work on Thursday, and I'm sure everybody has seen on social media, everybody is flooding with promotion of their projects, which is great
Yes.
to see because I have missed it, man. I really have.
Oh, me too. It was so good to see them. They're like, oh my gosh, this show's already been on for, 2.5 weeks now, 3 weeks, but I'm going to
Right?
promote the shit out of it now, kind of a thing. Yeah, guys and gals, the most important word in all of that is tentative because it is not a done deal yet. While they are allowed to go back to work and promote and do things, as Logan said, it has to be voted on by the entire membership and has to have a majority vote yes in order to be ratified and actually signed into an agreement. Now, if they don't do that, they would likely vote to authorize to go back on strike again if they can't get a majority vote to say yes to this contract. Now, from everything that we're hearing, it seems like it is going to get a majority vote and it will be signed and will be good to go for 3 years. That said, we know a lot of people that are not happy with it. And our feeds are filled with a lot of people that are already coming at it negatively, saying they're not going to vote yes for it. And the biggest thing was AI. And we're going to talk about that because we're going to dive into what they got, what they didn't get, what we know and what we don't know. But it's not a done deal yet. So we want to emphasize that. It is not done until December 5th and that vote concludes and they pass it with a majority. Fingers crossed, but anyway, there are some people that are still not happy. So, speaking of that, what did they actually get in the new agreement? All right, here's a little bit of a breakdown of everything that we do know. As we said, only an 80-page summary was drawn up so far, and even that wasn't released publicly yet. And when the full details come out, we're not going to see that either. That's going to be only for the members to be able to look at and vote on. So, but we may have some insiders that gave us a little information. Yes. So here's what we do know. Now, the agreement includes an unprecedented wage pattern with 2 wage increases in the first year of the 3-year contract. Yeah, woo! Balloons for that one, baby. The 7% upon ratification, meaning if they get through it all, December 5th, they will see a 7% increase in wages. And another 4% effective July 24th, making a compound first-year increase of 11.28%. There will be another 3.5% increase effective July of 2025. This package breaks the so-called industry pattern. Now, wages for background actors will increase by 11% effective November 12th, 2023, and then by additional 4% effective July 1st, 2024, and by another 3.5% effective July 1st of 2025. And in a monumental breakthrough, for the first time ever, the number of covered positions in the West Coast zones will equal those of the East Coast zones. This is projected to add almost 11,000 new covered background workers daily annually. So that's pretty awesome. That's good. That's not quite where they wanted it, but still a significant raise in money.
It's true. And I mean, that's been, one of the biggest things, especially with all the streaming juggernauts being successful or unsuccessful. We really don't know because we haven't really gotten a lot of numbers. But the union achieved the creation of a new compensation stream for performers working in streaming.
There you go.
It provides a substantial bonus on top of existing residual structures, making work in streaming more sustainable for middle class actors. The majority of that compensation will be paid to the actors on programs meeting certain viewership requirements. The remaining money will be distributed to other actors working on those streaming platforms through a new jointly trusted distribution fund. Now, this ensures improved compensation and sustainability for a wider range of actors contributing to the success of those platforms. Now, the agreement also adds fixed residuals for stunt coordinators working on television and new media productions. So that's good.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. Now, guys, that gets a little tricky with the bonuses for the top shows. They did kind of break that down, and I think we'll post that on social media for you guys to see, but it qualifies within, it's like if it's in the top 20% of overall subscribers who view it. It's a real tricky little scenario about how they get the bonus. So we'll post that in more detail maybe on social media instead of trying to break it all down here for you or whatever. And then that other fund that they're talking about, they wanted 100 million, they got 40 million. So not as much, but still it's a way for everybody that does on streaming to get paid at least a little bit from the streaming because they weren't getting anything right now. So that's good. Another good thing is they got a nearly 43% increase to the contribution cap for 1 hour productions and nearly 67% increase to the cap for half-hour productions that will result in increased contributions to the health and pension retirement funds, as well as help performers working on those shows to continue qualifying for the benefits. Because as you know, that was a big sticking point. The vast majority of the union members didn't even make enough money to qualify for the health benefits. So now these increases and the cap for their money on these shows will at least get them within range to keep qualifying. So that says to me secretly there's enough to get them above the $28,000 a year maybe if they're lucky enough to get on a streaming show. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like. So
yeah, and it's definitely helpful too because if everybody remembers when SAG appointed Fran Drescher as the president against Gabrielle Gutierrez, when she first took over, healthcare was a big thing.
Huge.
So, I mean, to bring this back into the negotiations with the studios is very important. So I'm glad to see that as well. And the contract achieved important gains for hair and makeup equality as well. And the sharing of aggregated diversity statistics, eliminating inappropriate wigging and paint down gender neutral language, access to gender affirming care, and translation services. It also provides more sexual harassment prevention protections for performers, including the use of intimacy coordinators in scenes involving nudity or simulated sex, or upon request, and additional safeguards for background. So that's also very important with everything we just went through with the Me Too movement. So that is good to see.
For sure. Now, did they not already have some protection in place for the wiggings and paint downs? I'm assuming that's like when they're painting makeup on naked performers, like Mystique, for example, in X-Men. Or the wiggings, I'm guessing, is like when they apply some hair where maybe, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm guessing I can't imagine just putting on a normal wig as an inappropriate wigging. I'm assuming they're talking about applying hair in other areas. I can't believe there wasn't already protections for that. Like, you just having a makeup person just fly away at the body whenever that. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad that protection is in there now. That just seems like that should have been a no-brainer. I don't know. Also, meaningful protections for the casting process have been established, including provisions specifying that breakdowns, sides, and/or scripts shall be provided no less than 48 hours prior to the submission deadline, excluding weekends and holidays. For all y'all that don't know what sides are either actual portions of the script or fake stuff created for people to audition with. That's what sides are. Now, this is increased to 72 hours for minors. Talent may not be asked to perform more than 8 industry standard pages for a first self-tape or 12 industry standard pages for a second subsequent callback. Man, 8 pages already seems like a lot. Are there studios having people audition with more than 8 pages? Fuck. That seems crazy. Additionally, if memorization is required, performers will be entitled to compensation. Wow. That's
interesting.
Yeah, that's new. And performers may not be requested to appear nude or while wearing attire more revealing than a bathing suit that could be worn at a public school. Producers must also provide opportunities to interview virtually or in person on a first-come, first-served basis with accommodations for performers with disabilities, senior performers, and minors. There's a whole lot of good all up in that. That sounds amazing. So that's really good stuff.
I'm asking you, like, who's wearing a bathing suit at a public school?
Florida. I mean, there's swimming. I took swimming in school. Like I went to like middle school and stuff in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we did go swimming. And I mean, some of the girls.
Well, it says public pool. I was just making fun of you butchering. But it's fine. It's fine.
Well, public pool, like, school pools.
It's fine. It's fine.
A school pool's a public school, is it not? Like, if you go to public school.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Irish coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And also improvements in relocation allowances for series performers were also made, covering $5,000 per month for up to 6 months with no cap on the number of seasons. Based on employment patterns, this amount to a 153% effective increase in relocation payments. So that's very interesting.
Oh, yeah, because remember, we had a lot of friends that were telling us this was a problem because a lot of these series shoot up in Vancouver, and they would have to keep their home in LA or wherever they were living in the country and rent an apartment up in Vancouver for 6 months. And they were like, we're not getting paid enough money to maintain 2 residences and stuff. So a $5,000 per month increase for that seems really good. Yeah, I don't know if that's still enough for 2 in Vancouver and LA. I mean, 5,000 gets you like a bedroom in LA. But I mean, it is a significant increase. So that's good that they're addressing that anyway. And here we go. Additionally, the Guild announced guardrails against the use of artificial intelligence, though it allows AI to be used to create digital replicas if the actors are paid and give their permission. No balloons there. I don't want balloons there. They're worried about this because the wording apparently says that they might have to be forced to agree to give the permission within the contract, like by the studios. So this is one of the things where a lot of the members that say they are not going to vote to ratify this contract are fighting against. They want it to be where they can put a provision from the studios saying that, I mean, from SAG-AFTRA telling the studios that we have passed a new rule within our membership that if we give permission, then we're no longer allowed to be SAG. So they want something to protect to where the studios can't basically force them to give their consent. And that, apparently the way the wording is, it's not in there. So I think that's still going to be the sticking point. But at least we're getting somewhere with that if they do recreate you, they will pay you, and they won't do it without your consent. Now, whether they can force your consent or not, I don't know. I guess that's going to have to be. Justine Bateman thinks so. So Justine Bateman is full in, and she's been going at this for months now, saying this is the big warning, this is the big thing. this is why we shouldn't do it. So I mean, that's part of it that I think that we will be paying close attention to and following up on, because I don't think this is anything going away. I mean, obviously AI is not going anywhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense because I mean, it's just going to be an ongoing conversation, and it is going to be for 3 years, this agreement. So,
Right.
I mean, there's always that conversation of, keep continuing moving forward with artificial intelligence and continuing to see how we can make it work for us and how it works against us. So that's one of the biggest things. I know that's a big one that was holding us up at the very end. So it's one of those things. But now that SAG-AFTRA strike is over, allowing for the cameras to start rolling again, a lot of people have questions as to what it all means. So let us try to explain it all. First up, how long until film and TV shows get back up and running? Now that actors can go back to work, there is nonetheless prep time that comes with getting back to a project and getting it back up and running.
Yes.
Now, sets need to be built or rebuilt. Cast members, some of whom likely moved away during their lengthy production hiatus, now need to be recalled or replacements found. Schedules need to be ironed out as actors and artisans are these days often working on multiple projects at once. Then there's the issue of a studio space and what might be available. As for scripts, presumably many of them have been in the works already, either prior to the WGA strike or after that one was resolved last month. But if it shows opts to save money by block shooting, meaning it shoots every scene at a location for an entire series at once, they'll need to wait until all of those scripts are in. Now, broadcast series, which rely on fast-paced, shorter-length shoots in order to fulfill hefty episodic orders, are expected to be first up. That makes sense.
For sure.
In general, the first scripted shows to produce completed episodes with a multi-camera comedies, which are shot and edited quickly. Some series already have completed scripts and we're just waiting for SAG-AFTRA to finally come to a deal so they can resume filming. Others were a little bit in the middle of the writing process and likely were able to complete those scripts by the time the actors were ready.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically family sitcoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the ones that will probably come back first. But again, it all depends on who was working the most while these things were on hiatus.
Right. And so you guys know, so how long, right? Say they did have their scripts ready to go and the actors are now back or whatever. When will we start to see those programs that went back into production after the strike? Well, if you guys know, the rule of thumb is normally around 3 months for network TV series to be written, shot, and edited. You know that. They start in the summer, they premiere in September, right? July they start, August they go shooting, September, boom, the premieres all hit. So about 3 months. But according to insiders, this will all depend on when cameras actually start rolling. If the shows can get back into production by late this month or early December, a February date is still possible. For shows that wait until January to start filming, March will be more likely when they hit, which is odd because that's when normally reruns start to go in and season finales hit and we go into the summer break. So that's kind of weird that would be when they're debuting is in March. Waiting until then, though, is necessary so that networks have several episodes in the can before moving forward. Because, of course, you don't want to drop a couple episodes and then take a long hiatus and burn out the momentum that's there already. Nobody wants that. And, of course, here's where it really gets complicated. The holidays are coming up, and the unions all mandate days off and time off during the holidays. As you guys know, we talk about it all the time. This is the time of year where Hollywood normally shuts down and everybody gets a break before ramping up during award season. So how is that going to play into? You're going to try to catch up on all these productions and film all these shows to get them out, but you got Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, all of which are mandated days off. So good luck. I don't even know. It's going to be complicated.
It really is. And I mean, everybody's been asking us. We've been getting all these direct messages on Twitter and all of these, interaction with fans in person. How many episodes are going to be in their favorite TV shows? Well, even the broadcast networks have been moving away from the old standard of the 22 to 24 episodes per season as the economics of the business have changed, as everyone knows with the streaming.
Yep.
But nonetheless, that tally is still the norm for most of Primetime's top rated dramas and comedies. Well, not this year.
No.
Now that networks are looking at different seasons between different episodic seasons between 10 and 13 episodes. Some shows might be ready to do more. The question is there whether the networks and studios want to spend extra production costs to actually do this. Right. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, because they've claimed they've lost so much money. So do they want to spend it to put 24 episodes or just be like, hey, we're good with 13? I mean, it's just a give or take. It's all going to be all new. It's all new. And of course, like I just said, this is normally the time of year where you see everybody, all the biggies, all the contenders are out there hitting the theaters and they're on and pushing for the campaign. So how will the end of the strike impact the award seasons? We've already known that a bunch of them have been pushed back. They had to change dates. They didn't know if they were going to air at all. Well, the Oscar campaign is about to undergo a major shakeup, y'all. Now that actors on films can actually hit the red carpets, do interviews with press, and go to their late night talk shows, the competition is about to ratchet up a notch, no doubt. Before now, only performers in films that had been given the waivers by SAG-AFTRA were allowed to discuss their projects. This also means that the directors, writers, producers, and artisans who had been pushed into the limelight to promote their projects will now have to step aside a bit as the stars can once again take the limelight. Now, it didn't take long. By 12:01 a.m. on Thursday morning, studios were already revising talent lists for upcoming premieres, adding actors to the roster. So far, only the WGA has moved its winter 2024 awards date, moving it to April 14th, my birthday, in order to extend its submissions window. Other award shows are holding on to their dates, at least for now. But with the resolution of the SAG-AFTRA strike, the shows are now aiming to secure hosts for the upcoming ceremonies. Now, that includes the Primetime Emmys, delayed from September and now scheduled to take place on January 15th. The original telecast of June 16th had to be canceled because of the labor dispute. Now, the awards show telecast that had been post the longest, the daytime Emmys, they're actually now going to move forward and they've set their air date. That show will now air live on December 15th on CBS. So that's like right next month. They're like, shit, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Our shit's supposed to be months ago. So there you go. We're going to get one of them right out of the way in December. And then we're going to keep an eye on it because we know the Oscars are normally around February. Will that be pushed because of these other ones being pushed? So we're going to keep an eye on it. But that's what we know so far. Daytime Emmys next month. And most of these are going to try to hold on to their original dates. So we'll see.